So I think I found the best way to present a leveling and econ guide for set 5 for you guys. And this one's gonna be a little different than all the other ones out there because some of those other ones are only relevant for 1 or 2 patches. But this one should be good for the entire set unless they drastically change the rolling odds, because instead of going like what reroll this is, slow roll that, standard this, standard that, I'm gonna be going over how to play if you're going for a 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost, 4 cost, or 5 cost carry. This way, whenever a comp is meta, let's say like a 3-star Nidalee is meta, you just go over down here, look for 3 costs, and then follow that strategy. If standard is meta, such as a 4 cost carry, you just go to the 4 cost carry. If rerolls are really popular, you go to these top 2 right here. I think that is probably the best way to do it, and I'm gonna do this every single set now. So before we get into the leveling guide, if you guys are wondering where to find like the best comps for TFT, I update a meta snapshot on my website, BunnyMuffins.lol. And you just click tier list up here and you get taken to a link that I update every single Friday. And we go over all the best comps for whatever patch it is. But that's not what we're here for today. So let's go back to the leveling guide. So again, there are like 2 main strategies. It's like rerolling and standard leveling. So rerolling is typically used for 1 cost, 2 cost, and 3 cost carries. And then standard is used for typically 4 and 5 costs. However, I've linked up 3 costs with the standard leveling over here because they share a lot more elements together. So with all that in mind, let's start out with what to do in the top scenario, which is 1 cost and 2 cost reroll. So 1 cost carries could be anything from like Lissandra, Udyr, Callista, Vayne, those types of champions. 2 cost reroll is going to be a little rarer because we have not seen too many of these in the past. In set 4, the only viable one was Zed. In set 3, we did something like Kai'Sa. This set, it might be like Brand, Varus, or Syndra. We're not really too sure yet because, again, it's really just meta dependent. So if one of those champions are meta or any other 2 cost, you would follow this leveling strategy. First things first, let's cover the 1 cost. So levels 1 through 3, they're all the same. You don't level up at all. And then at level 4, you level up naturally at 2, 3 for both of these strategies. So levels 1 through 4 for 1 cost and 2 cost reroll, don't press a single button. And yeah, you're pretty much good from there. For 1 cost, you level up to level 5 naturally at 3, 2. And here is what you would do, what's called a slow roll. So a slow roll, it sounds fancy, but essentially what it means is you are just rolling down to 50 gold every single turn. So if you are at 60 gold, roll down to 50. If you are at 70 gold, roll down to 50. If you are under 50 gold, wait until you get above 50 gold and then roll back down to 50 while buying all the units that are required in your composition. All that's fine and simple. The only complicated part about 1 cost rerolls is knowing when to do what's called an all-in. So an all-in is pretty much just rolling all of your gold to 0 or until you hit a 3-star of whatever unit you're looking for. And you typically do this at stage 4-1. This is dependent on the game, so you need to look at your health total. You need to look at how strong your board is, and pretty much those 2 factors are going to decide when you are rolling at this point in the game. Note that you don't always have to do this at 4-1. You could do this on 4-2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whenever. One thing to keep in mind is your health total. So if you are above 70 health, you definitely don't need to do an all-in until you are much lower or later in the game. Maybe at around like 4 or 5 you do your all-in if you are 70 or above health, but that's pretty rare. If you are below 40 health, you definitely need to all-in at 4-1. But if you're somewhere between where you're like 30 to 60 health, you'll need to make a decision on your own. And this could be either all-inning at 4-1 anyways, or doing it a little later at 4-5, or doing it somewhere in between. Again, it depends on how strong your board is and where you stand in the game. After that, for level 6, you'll want to level up after you hit all your 3 stars. So whenever that happens, it could be anywhere during stage 4 typically. You'll just want to do what's called a level up. Note that at level 6, you don't want to be rolling at all. In fact, for the rest of the game, you're pretty much not rolling. You're putting all your gold into your leveling. So level 6, 7, and 8, you'll probably just spend all your gold on either gaining more interest or on experience to level up. So at level 8, this is where you typically roll for whatever 4 cost unit that needs to fit in your composition is. This is dependent on what comp you're going. And for level 9, this is just, again, whenever you need to add a new unit in, or if you got like a random thing that's cool to put in. So level 9's probably hard to hit whenever you're doing this strategy, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But that's pretty much all you need to do for 1 cost reroll comps. Again, this is for things like Vayne, Lissandra, Callista, and a couple other champions. Now for the 2 cost reroll comps, this one's a little tricky, and again, it's really rare. We've only seen this in last set with Zed and the set before with Kai'Sa in set 3, and it really isn't played too much. It seems that the game developers don't really like 2 cost carries. because they nerf them incredibly hard if they are ever strong. But if they are meta, you'll want to check this part out. And again, same things for level 1 through 4, you just passively level up. And then for level 5, you want to level up at either 2.5, 2.7, 3.1, or 3.2. I know that's a lot of options, but bear with me. So this is all dependent on whether you are win streaking or lose streaking. So if you are win streaking, do it on 2.5, or if you have a lot of economy. If not, wait until 3.2 if you are lose streaking or you don't have a big econ. If you're doing the in-between options, you need to level up sometimes at 2.7 in order to beat the Krugs, because not all level 4 comps can beat it. And for 3.1, this is just when you level up if you have a clean interest interval. So if you are wondering like how to play the early game, how to navigate win streaking and lose streaking, I will be releasing an early game guide pretty soon. So definitely subscribe for that if you haven't already to get notifications for it. Or for it to show up on your homepage. And if you guys are liking the video so far, do hit the like button down below because it does help me a lot in the YouTube algorithm. After that, for level 6, you want to level up at 3.2 or 3.5. And then here is where it gets a little tricky. If you are low health, roll until you hit a 2-star of your 2-cost unit, and then slow roll after that. If you are high health, you just start the slow roll right away. So let's say it is stage 3.5, and you are maybe 50 health, and you just hit level 6. You might want to roll a little bit, or until you hit a 2-star of whatever unit you're going for, because if not, you're just going to die out really, really early. However, if you are high health, you could just do what's called a slow roll and just roll down to 50 every single turn until you hit your desired 3-star unit. After that, for level 7, this is where things get tricky again. This is probably like, now that I think about it, 2 cost is probably like pretty hard to execute because there are a lot of different decisions to make. So at level 7, there are 3 options I want you to focus on. So if you have an extra unit to put in for like a very key synergy for your composition, and you have a 2-star and it's sitting on your bench, level up at level 7 and just put the unit in, and then do a slow roll after that. I'll get into why that's okay right after I cover the other 3 options. So the next option is after you hit your 3-star at level 6, go ahead and level up to level 7. Next option after that, if you are low HP and you are giving up on hitting a 3-star altogether, you just level up to level 7 to try to salvage your game, maybe get a 6th place instead of an 8th place. So the reason why rolling for 2 costs doesn't matter if you do it on level 6 or level 7 is because the odds of getting 2 cost units are the exact same thing at 35%. You can check out this chart here for more info. So essentially that's why it doesn't matter whether you roll on level 6 or level 7, the odds are the same, it just depends on your economy. If you spend a lot of gold on leveling up, sometimes you don't have a large enough economy to do an effective slow roll to hit the unit on time before you die. So that's why people roll a lot at level 6, but sometimes you could do it on level 7 if you're getting really lucky that game, or if you've just collected a ton of interest for some reason. After that, for levels 8 and 9, you just level up after you hit all your units, and you pretty much don't roll anymore until like the super late game right before you're about to die. And that's how you play level 8 and level 9 for 2-cost rerolls. So that's the gist of doing these 2 reroll comps. There is a little bit of reroll at 3 cost. We'll get into that in just a little bit. First, we're going to cover what's called standard leveling, and then you'll see why I include this in this section, because a lot of the levels are the same. So standard leveling at level 1, 2, 3, like that's all the same for everyone. It really only diverges at level 4 and beyond. So at level 4, if you're win streaking, level up at 2.1. If you're lose streaking, do it at 2.3. And then for level 5, same thing. If you're win streaking, level up at 2.5. And if you're lose streaking, do it at 3.1. And then after that, things all converge again at level 6, where everyone levels up at 3.2 here. And then here's where it gets a little different for 3, 4, and 5 costs, but we'll finish up standard leveling first. At level 7, you hit it at either 3.5 or 4.1. Level 8, 4.5 or 5.1. And level 9, 5.5 or 6.1. So now that we know the standard leveling pattern, this is pretty much like 90% of scenarios. Of course, there are one-off scenarios where you level up a little earlier or a little later for all of these levels, but in like 90% of your games, this is what you're going to be doing. But now let's go into how to play 3-cost reroll. So 3 costs, ideally you want a 3-star 3 cost, like no kidding, right? I'd rather have a 3-star everything, but that doesn't happen all the time. So a lot of times you need to know how to play if you only have a 2-star copy of that unit, and this goes over both of those. So on level 6, you have 2 options. You could either roll a lot on 3-2 if you need to stabilize, or if you want to take advantage of a power spike by hitting a 2-star 3 cost and just dominate the mid game. Or you could just do a slow roll until you hit a 2-star of your unit. The slow roll part is something I don't do that often. I mainly just either roll 10 to 40 gold and then just chill after that until I hit level 7. But in some cases, you can do the slow roll if you have a really large economy. After that, you hit level 7 on stage 3, 5, or 4, 1. And then at this point is where you roll either 10 to 40 gold again, and this just is the inverse of what you did before. So if you rolled a lot at level 6, don't roll too much at level 7, and if you rolled nothing at all at level 6, you might want to roll a lot here because you probably don't have a strong board. And then after that, you typically just slow roll at level 7 instead of going to level 8. So if you looked at the leveling pool before and you're like, wow, like 3 costs are higher chance to show up at level 8 and lower on level 7. So why are we slow rolling on level 7 instead of level 8? So I already have that answer for you guys. So essentially, the reason why you want to do that is because leveling up to level 8 costs a lot of gold. I think it's like 50 gold or something like that. So if you spend all that 50 gold on leveling up, you're not going to hit your 3 cost unit on time. Therefore, you'll just die before you even hit it. If we had unlimited health, then sure. Wait till you're level 8 and slow roll at level 8, and you could probably get away with that. Unfortunately, in TFT, we only have 100 health, so you typically do a slow roll on level 7, and you could go 8 in some rare scenarios if you have like a ton of HP. Let's say you just win streak the entire game without rolling for some reason. I mean, that happens every now and then. That would be the only scenario where I would slow roll at level 8. But after that, that's pretty much all you need to do for 3 cost reroll comps. You just find a time to stabilize at level 6 or level 7, and then find the time to slow roll. Typically, it's going to be at level 7, and then once you hit your 3-star unit, just level up after that and put in random extra units to fit in synergies. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's focus on like the most important one, which is probably the 4 cost carries. So 4 cost carries are the most important because the game is essentially built around getting those. And these are always going to be like the main meta strategies that we're going to be going for. So these are going to be champions like Aphelios, Vel'Koz, Draven, Karma, and Jax. Those are probably the main 4 cost carries that I can think of off the top of my head. But let's get into how to do this. So same thing all the way through level 6. You pretty much just level up at whatever I said here. And then at level 6, you could roll either 0 to 20 gold. This depends on how strong you are. This depends on how aggressive the meta is. If it's an aggressive meta, you need to roll 20 gold. If it's a very greedy meta, you don't roll at all. And then at level 7, you roll, again, 0 to 30 gold. This is dependent on whether you are strong or not. If you are a high health, strong board, and not much gold, you probably don't want to roll at all if you hit 2 of those 3 things I just said. However, if you are the opposite of those, if you are low health, weak board, high gold, you probably want to do a little bit of rolling if you hit like 2 of those things I mentioned. Typically at level 7, you're just looking to find a 1-star copy of your 4 cost unit or a 3-star carry that you are using as an item holder. So one of those 2 will work. After that, you'll want to look into hitting level 8. So level 8, you hit it at 4-5 if you are going for really aggressive strategies. So if you did not roll at level 6 or level 7, you typically hit level 8 at 4-5. However, if you did roll during level 6 or level 7, you typically hit level 8 at stage 5-1, and the reason why you do that is because you want at least 40 gold to roll down at level 8 to reliably hit your 4 cost 2-star unit. So yeah, if you are rich, you could do that at 4-5, but in most games, it's going to be at 5-1 where this happens, and yeah, you just roll to 0 there, pray you hit your 2-star 4 cost unit, and go from there. Level 9's a little different. So when you're doing standard leveling, you typically go to level 9 when you don't have much to roll for at level 8. So if you only are looking for like legendary units, if you are only looking for one more upgrade, those are typically the times where you level up to level 9. And then after that, for 5 costs, this is probably the least important part, ironically. They're one after the other. Some metas, they allow for 5 cost carries, and these are either really greedy metas where you could do either fast 8 or fast 9 strategies, or you could go for these strategies if you are getting super lucky in your games, but right now this isn't happening too much. So the way to do this is never roll at all until level 8. You typically will hit level 8 at stage 4-5, and then you just roll it all the way down to 0, pray you hit a 1-star copy of your 5 costs, and hope it carries you until you hit either 2-star or level 9. Alternatively, you could do what's called a fast 9, and when you're doing a fast 9, you need to stabilize a little bit either at level 6 or level 7, and then you don't roll at level 8 at all, and then you roll all your gold at level 9, looking for as many 5 cost carries as you can, and pretty much just playing like an all legendary team. That works in some metas, doesn't work in all metas, but that's pretty much it for all the leveling patterns for today. Just to sum up, we went over the 1 cost, 2 cost carries, which are typically reroll comps. 3 costs is in between. Sometimes you reroll it, sometimes you don't need to. So 4 cost carries is, again, the one we're going to be paying attention to the most. Review this again if you were confused at any point, or leave a comment below if that is the case. But yeah, you want to roll a little bit at 6 or 7 to stabilize, and then stabilize at 8, and then find a way to go level 9. And then 5 cost, this is kind of the for fun one. It's probably not going to happen too often unless like a patch gets really, really greedy. It also depends on what server you're on. I found that the North American server is more greedy than others, and that's the one I typically play on. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the level and econ guide for set 5. So again, I love this style a lot more than what I've done in the previous times and like from what other people have been doing, because it's going to be relevant the entire set instead of like one set leveling pattern such as level to level 7 at 4-1 or like at 4-1 or 4-2, because those are all patch dependent, and this one is I think pretty good because it covers like all the grounds for each type of carry. So unless they drastically change the game, I think this one is good to go. So if you guys enjoyed this, go ahead and like and subscribe below, and I'll be coming out with the early game guide as I said before, and probably some how to get to diamond, how to get to master, all those ranks types of videos. So yeah, definitely look out for that. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys later.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and of course smash that like button. Each like is an LP I gain before the next video.